Hello people, this is Mark from KharisChangeWorks. Guys, hope that you are well. It's a little short story for you today. And it's a nice little one. It's got an unexpected ending. However, before we get to that, I'm going to ask you just to please do all the YouTube admin, the liking, the sharing. Tell all your friends and your family, please. When you hit the bell, pick all. There's like a little menu that drops down from there. And of course, comment. We're doing okay. We would just like to have more subscribers, please. And that would mean that we reach a greater audience. That's our dream. Let's get to the little story and let's see what it has to say. A Bible for graduation. A young man was getting ready to graduate from college. For many months he had admired a beautiful sports car in the dealer's showroom. And knowing his father could well afford it, he told him that that is all that he wanted. As graduation day approached, the young man waited, signs that his father had purchased the car. Finally, on the morning of his graduation, his father called him into his private study. His father told him how proud he was to have such a fine son, and told him how much he loved him. He handed his son a beautiful wrapped gift box. Curious but somewhat disappointed, the young man opened the box and found a lovely leather-bound Bible with the young man's name embossed in gold. Angrily he raised his voice to his father and said, "With all your money you give me a Bible?" and stormed out of the house, leaving the Bible. Many years passed and the young man was very successful in business. He had a beautiful home and wonderful family, but realized his father was very old, and perhaps he should go and visit him. He had not seen him since that graduation day. Before he could make arrangements, he received a telegram telling him that his father had passed away and willed all of his possessions to his son. When he arrived at his father's house, sadness and regret filled his heart. He began to search through his father's important papers and saw that new Bible, just as he left it all those many years before. With tears he opened the Bible and began to turn the pages. His father had carefully underlined the verse. And as he read those words, a car key dropped from the back of the Bible. It had a tag with the dealer's name, the same dealer who had the sports car he so desired. On the tag was the date of his graduations and the words, "Paid in full." My friend, it is a sad story in many ways. That the son had such a arrogant and ignorant viewpoint on the limitations of the understanding that his father actually gave him the best gift ever, the Bible. But you see, the father's love for his son superseded just the fact that he wanted a sports car. This is the son, of course. So what the father did, he bought that car for his son. Also, of course, knowing that regardless of that sports car, that it would eventually rot away, it would be replaced. But the truths hidden in the Bible is eternal. Therefore, making it the precious gift that it actually was. The young man failed to see how much love the father actually had for him. Now here's the story. Yeah, he graduated. Yes, he was successful, and that is all fantastic. But you see, the son wanted a material gift, a material way of remembering the graduation, a symbol of achievement. At that point, the son failed to acknowledge the eternal. He failed to acknowledge the real gift, peace of mind and love and grace particularly. Because of his own anger, he chose to break away from his dad. Dad, you haven't bought me my sports car. You give me this stupid Bible. Really? With all your money, that's it? That's all you give me, a Bible? And he broke the relationship. And when it came down to it, in the end, when he realized that his dad is old, maybe a lack of relationship kind of started to bug the young man. Now, of course, being a little bit older. And he realizes as he plans that he gets the message to say, your dad is no longer with us. I wonder what the young man thought at that particular point in time, all these wasted years of not being able to have a relationship with the one who loved him. Just because of his anger. You see, the father's love for his son didn't change because, as the story says, he gave his son everything that he owned. And my friend, that is the thing with love, is it doesn't necessarily change. Something really serious has to happen before a parent, a true parent, will decide to sever the relationship. It's got to be serious. And so when the son man starts to look at all the important papers, he finds a Bible which is loads of paper compiled into one book, of course. And there within that gift lies the key. That key to that sports car that he so desired all those many years before. I wonder what the son thought at that point in time. And my friend, the story is that he not only paid for the Bible, the dad did, but he paid in full for the sports car. Father's love. Now, we could say that that is a representative of God, our Father. He not only gives us His Son, who pays our sin in full. The debt is cleared. We now have reason to have a relationship with Him. See, the good book talks about it is our sin that separates us from Him. Just like the story, the son's anger was that separation that separated, broke the relationship in part. And my friend, when I consider the things that God has done for me, I too sit with a humbled heart. I find myself to be very fortunate and very blessed to have survived for as long as I have. You see, my understanding is very simple. I know that even if no one in the world loves me, I am still loved. Not by earthly means, but by a spiritual means. I'm also very fortunate to have one or two people who love me in the world too. Very fortunate. But my friend, the true story, or the message of today's story is simply this, that anger separates. It destroys. It is the cancer of the spirit, I would suggest to you. It doesn't matter how angry you are, the other person can't do anything about it. You yourself need to deal with your own anger. But regardless of the venom that you have towards the people in your life, love will always conquer that. You see, the dad could have said something like, well, he's walked out of my life. I am going to let him just go. And he did in many ways. But the dad could have said something like, well, because he's gone, I'm not going to give him what I have. He's got to suffer now. But the dad's love for his son superseded the foolishness of the son. And in spite of all those years of barrenness and all those years of pain and probably questions, the dad decided that in spite of all of that, he will still give his son everything that he owned. Now I know in my own life that my family choose not to speak to me. Or at least some of them. The reason is simple. Anger. Thank goodness. Not anger because of what I did. It's just the fact that they are angry people. I feel a loss in my life regarding particularly my eldest daughter who has chosen to not be part of my life. It is a sad thing. All I can say at this point in time, and maybe I'm letting out too much here, but it is her loss. All I know is my love for her doesn't change. Even although she's persuaded by the knock in her life that it has. What a fool. So the moral of today's story is simply this. Love always conquers. God the Father has paid our price for our sin in full by allowing His Son to be the perfect, complete, the satisfying sacrifice. We choose to accept Him or we choose to ignore Him. You see, I made a story, a little video where I mentioned that barbers don't exist. Only when you don't approach the barber. But when you do go to a barber and they do cut your hair, you find that they do exist. And then the spiritual is exactly the same. You might say that God does not exist. It's probably because you don't need Him. But when you do, just like in the barber shop, He's always there. And His love for you is such that regardless of whether we accept Him or regardless of whether we reject Him, He still paid the price in full. And He has given us His word. You go into many Christian bookshops and you will find the Bible. In fact, most people have had experience in the Bible in Sunday school as children, if you were fortunate enough. But in today's society, the Bible is seen as the biggest threat in the world. I wonder why. It's probably because what it contains is life-changing. It's eternity-changing. Stand up for Christian morals and you get persecuted. I wonder why. All these other religions who talk peace actually condemn and hate, and violently hate, the gospel of peace. It's interesting. But love will always and always prevail. So what I'm asking you today is simply this. In your heart, generate a reason to love even more, regardless of the people who walk out of your life. Love is the ultimate emotion. And it is with love that we will conquer all. That's the story for today. Broken relationships can be healed when there's love. Relationships only break down because of a lack of love. I wish more people would understand that. But there it is. My friend, I hope you've enjoyed this little story. I know it's been religious in its nature, but then I don't particularly care so much about that. I am more interested in giving you the truth. Please share and subscribe, and maybe when you know of other people who are in need of this message, please give them this video. Make reference to it at least and ask them to subscribe. There's loads of these. For now, this is Mark from KharisChangeWorks. I'll speak to you soon.